Hey guys, it's Jenilee, Aiden's wife, and I wanted to make a video talking about the experience I've had seeing Aiden transition for the past 5 years. It's probably my favorite thing to really think about because it really has been like such a beautiful transformation, I think, and I have some notes, especially just because there's a lot there, and 5 years is kind of a long time to gather thoughts about someone, especially somebody that you love. So I wanted to talk about each year and kind of like what I noticed and maybe like what my experience of him was at those different times. So initially, when I first met Aiden, he was pre-T, but he had gone on testosterone pretty much around that same time. But my experience of him pre-T, just from even his videos and just kind of knowing him in a limited way at that time, was just sort of seeing like the lack of confidence that he had at that time, and just seeing how, he was really trying to make a name for himself and just kind of find community. And I feel like he didn't come at it in a way that seemed very confident, but I feel like I saw his confidence underneath that. I don't know, I feel like I've seen Aiden the same way, the way that we see him now, 5 years on T, I feel like I've always kind of seen that person underneath. So it's interesting for me to really think about. So the notes I have about pre-T is that he was adorable, but definitely lacked confidence compared to, what we see today. Just a lack of certainty about anything. I think he was just on the fence for a really long time about transition and wasn't really sure, and I think had a lot of fears, hence his YouTube name, ALionsFears. I think that name really did come from his true experience of just really being scared of starting a new life and going in that direction. He was definitely super emotional and super, just a sweetheart, and it's pretty much why I really liked him from when I first met him, is that, just was really sensitive, and, he always had this sort of, masculine energy, but, once you talk to him or, have an exchange with him, whether it's, an email or a phone call or a text message or just seeing him on a video, it's okay, you look super masculine, but you definitely have this soft side, and I love that there was sort of a balance between both, even before testosterone and in the very beginning. I think he was confused when he was pre-T. I think he was really just trying to figure out, okay, if I take this leap, what is that going to mean? And just being really scared of that. For the first year on T, he definitely had a baby face and was all about the facial hair, and when the facial hair was gonna come in and, the changes and all that stuff. He was really, really fun-loving the first year. He just wanted to go and have a good time. He was sort of playing with his confidence, playing with the way he was expressing himself, playing with, everything he was doing for his physical side, but also kind of seeing all those changes in the sense of his voice. He did the how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. He did that, I think, on a weekly basis just to see his voice changes, and that was one of the cutest things I remember. It was listening to that every week. Artistic expression, he was super just flowing about his artistic expression back then. I feel like he was really poetic. He was either writing a poem or sketching something. It's when he was really, really heavy into his pastry art and, creating amazing things with sugar, which I loved. He definitely struggled with T limiting his ability to express his emotions. I think it was really hard for him to have an emotional outlet, or even being able to cry at that point. I feel like T was sort of this wall between him and being able to really go there emotionally at that point. And I think he struggled with that, but it wasn't, he was having so much fun with like all the physical changes and all the changes that he liked, that I think that was sort of on the back burner, but it was there and I saw it. He definitely struggled standing up to cis men at that point. I think that he would become really frustrated if he wanted to stand up for himself or for me and a cis man was involved. I think that it's taken him a long time to really get there, but at that point during the first year, I think he was just frustrated, like trying to find it within himself to feel like he could challenge someone, even though he's not cisgender. I remember that a lot, and I know it was really hard for him. Year 2, I think it really became about finding his purpose. I think he was really seeing the direction that the changes were going in terms of his physical changes, him being able to pass, him like sort of still really having a lot of his like feminine side available to him, and like a lot of that had not shifted, and he was just really like, okay, this is exactly what I wanted. I'm still who I am, but I'm also looking more like I feel. I look in the mirror and I see the person that I really feel like, and that was like huge for him. That was also the year he asked me to marry him. So he was really sort of figuring out what he wanted in life, his purpose, what kind of future he really wanted. He wanted to marry me. I remember him like really getting to a point where like he wanted to protect me more than ever. He wanted to be this protective person for me. Not that I can't protect myself, because I absolutely do, but he just craved a sense of like feeling like he could protect me at that point. Year 3, at that point there was really no effort for him to be treated like a man. He had this newfound confidence that was amazing to see. He started presenting his ideas and vision for his company, for 0.5cc. We had gotten married, and that was huge because I feel like that was the first time his family really got to see him in this very masculine male role, bride and groom and that whole gig, and seeing our friends at that time sort of treat us in that way and treat Aiden in that way of, yeah, Aiden's just a guy. And I think his family was able to witness that and say, and like it clicked in their heads like, oh, okay, so he is a guy and I'm going to treat him that way. And it was like a big deal to Aiden and a big deal to me, and just sort of like a breakthrough for his transition. Like I feel like he finally kind of stepped into his confidence and was like putting it on for the first time and just really feeling what it felt like. He wanted to keep his feminine side. He noticed his interest starting to shift to more stereotypical masculine stuff, like watching football and things like that. But he had this like awareness about it that's very rare from my own experience. His awareness about himself and his emotions and like where he's at, like mind, body, and soul, is just incredible to me around everything. He just really wanted to hold on to his feminine side, even though he was watching himself sort of drift into more of like the masculine role, especially because he was passing. He got to make a choice pretty much all the time whether or not he wanted to out himself as trans. Us having the MTV It Gets Better special aired was sort of a big deal, because it was like, okay, well, now this means that anyone, anywhere could potentially know that I'm trans. How do I feel about that? And just like us exploring that, and him being able to like say like, I'm proud of being trans, like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being stealth all the time. So that was kind of big. I just remember him like acknowledging how easy it was for him to just be on the guy side, you know, without any effort, but also feeling like I don't really fit here 100%. I think it was definitely a crossroads for him. Year 4, I saw him expressing and feeling a lot of gratitude for his transition and for his decision to transition, just kind of seeing where it put him and how it had like dramatically changed his life for the better, realizing what it's done for him, realizing his effect on the community, on the transgender community, just how much he really does have a presence in the community and how people really do look to him as an example of what they kind of want to be. And so that, I feel like, really did like boost his confidence as well. I think he was craving more exploration of what it would feel like to blend in with cis men and just kind of be a guy. But at the same time, I remember him feeling torn about that and just like feeling like, okay, well, part of me wants to just fit in and be a guy, and then there's this other part of me that feels like I'm betraying my soul, my feminine side, you know. I always tell him that he has a lesbian soul and that I love his lesbian soul, because I feel like he identified that way for so long, and that part of him, that identity, or, you know, him being masculine or expressing himself in a masculine way, but also being very in touch with being a woman, was really important to him. So I feel like that has been a struggle in year 4, just trying to figure out like, where do I fit, where do I want to fit, how can I meet both needs of like wanting to be one of the guys but also not losing my touch or my connection to the female world or the feminine spirit. Year 5, this was definitely the confidence peak. I like to think of like pre-T all the way through year 5 just being this like steady rising confidence for him, and it's been really amazing to see because confidence is sexy. He will stand up for himself in any circumstance now. Year 5 has really sort of made that shift. I've seen him stand up for himself, stand up for me, stand up for what he believes in, stand up for the community. Just, I don't think he's really afraid to say anything to anyone anymore, and I feel like it's so dramatically different from when he was pre-T and even the first couple of years. He really stepped into his mentor status. I mean, Aiden really is a mentor for the transgender community. I'm laying right next to him in bed as he's answering all of those emails that people send him, really wanting guidance and wanting support in their own transition, and like holding him as this sort of role model for what they could do or what they could be, and like he's sort of like the potential that they have, and him just really being a go-to person in the community for assistance in so many different ways. He's much more comfortable with public speaking. He's been, doing so much more of it, and, really kind of stepping into his power in terms of, his speaking. He has this ability to be authentic on camera and be honest and transparent and vulnerable, and I think it's amazing. I'm a therapist, so I know the power of vulnerability, and just to kind of watch him basically create a career out of being vulnerable and being transparent has been amazing. He still has real sensitive, compassionate answers to everything. Like if I go to him with an issue that I'm struggling with, or I just need advice from him, it's really nice to go to him because he always is able to filter through all of the emotions and still be really sensitive to me, but like basically give me the guts of what I'm trying to find or get at. He's able to give me answers that sort of just like click in my head, whereas I feel like very early on in his transition, the first couple of years, he would be right next to me on the emotional side of things and like really trying to like swim our way through it. Now like I'm swimming and he's like halfway out of the water saying, it's okay, I can pull you out. Because he's able to filter through emotions and pull out the truth and the clarity of things, which is really awesome because I need that sort of like grounding. He's more grounded and centered than he's ever been. He knows what he wants and he's after it. He is an unstoppable force and it really inspires me to be with someone like that. So yeah, this is my video about Aiden's transition and just watching that for the past 5 years. And yeah, I couldn't really think of anything else on the spot, but if anyone has any questions, I'm sure I could make some sort of follow-up video. Thanks everyone. Good night.